Hey everyone, welcome back to the Recreational Runner channel. This might be a bit of a somber affair. I don't even know if I'm actually going to use this footage, but talking to camera and talking to you guys potentially, for me, is part of a process which I need to do. The old adage, a problem shared is a problem halved, and get it off your chest and all that rings very true with me. I'm the kind of person that shares with people. Once you get to know me, I'll tell you everything, really. All my friends will tell you that. It's a good trait or a bad trait. The time you saw me, I said we were off to Italy on holiday, so I probably wouldn't be doing much running, etc. That was true. We made it to Italy for one day and sadly had to come back because my dad had been rushed into hospital just before we went to Italy, but everything was good. He messaged me and said, don't worry, he's been waiting for a heart valve replacement and he's had a few complications and illnesses. So he got rushed into hospital and he was in his chair texting saying, you know, go to Italy, enjoy your holiday. I'm going to be in hospital for about a month before they transfer me to Papworth to have this heart operation. So all was good. But then we arrived in Italy and my sister texted or called and said it'd taken a turn for the worse. He wasn't responding, he had a chest infection and they thought he had a blood clot on the lungs. And he wasn't responding to the antibiotics at all, but they were doing some more tests. Stay in Italy that day, we'll call you tomorrow. The next day my brother called me and everything had gone completely downhill. It basically had multiple clots on the lungs, kidney failure, the heart valve wasn't, basically the issue was making it difficult for him to maintain his blood pressure, and in fact that's ultimately the problem. He couldn't maintain any level of blood pressure without drugs. And I don't know if you know, but my dad had cancer of the esophagus a couple of years back and he was clear of all that. He fought that and got through it, but he had secondary cancer come back in his lungs. So all of those things combined, there was no way he was going to survive. And sadly, as I record this, it's a week today that he passed away. It's Saturday. I'm on my way up back to Norwich to be with my sister and to go and do some of the things we need to do revolving around, you know, a parent passing away. Fortunately, he passed away comfortably in his sleep. My brother was with him and his best friend Les, of 52 years, was also there. Myself and my sister had unfortunately gone home for a break because we'd just done the night shift. We'd been with him all night, so we'd gone home for showers and stuff. I was on my way back to go and listen to the football match with him. My dad was a huge Norwich City fan and they were playing away to West Ham. I was on my way back, but unfortunately I didn't make it back in time, and he went in his sleep and he went before the game and we lost 2-0, so we all laughed and said perhaps that's why he was like, nah, see you later, I don't want to listen to this rubbish. And also it was my mum and dad's wedding anniversary the next day, August the 31st, and my mum died 5 years ago, and we take solace in the fact that perhaps mum came to get him to be together on their anniversary. I don't really believe in the afterlife though, having said that, but it's really weird. Comment, give me some information in the comments. Do you believe in the afterlife? It's a tricky one for me because I've got a lot of regret about what happened with my dad. The last 2 years, a lot's gone on in my life and all of the excuses come in, you know, you're busy, we moved house, we had a baby, Sylvia was pregnant, and I wanted to be there for her, and Sophia's now 7 months old, so our weekends, and Evie as well, you know, we've been busy. And Dad had got to a point where he didn't want visitors, he didn't let people go around his place. Myself and my dad clashed a fair bit over certain things to do with his health, to be honest. We argued a lot, and it kind of probably kept me at arm's length a little bit, and for me it was a convenient excuse, and this is now a massive regret for me. And apologies if you are a friend or family that is going to be attending my dad's funeral. You'll hear this kind of sentiment in my eulogy as well. It'll be a lot more emotional on the day, clearly. But yeah, this is going to be a regret I take to my grave, that I didn't do more for my dad in the last 2 years, because we walked into his place to pick up some paperwork that we didn't want to leave in the lodge. I couldn't believe it. He was struggling, bless him. He was a man that was not looking after himself broke my heart. It broke my heart, it really did. And that's always going to be there. I wish, when my mum died, start at the beginning, when my mum died, sorry if this waffles on, I apologise, but when my mum died, and there is a point about running in all of this, I'm going to talk about, this is still a running channel, and this is related, okay? My mum died 5 years ago, June, just over 5 years ago, and my dad was never the same. His heart was broken in two easily, and he loved the family, he loved his grandchildren, he loved us all, but it wasn't enough for him without mum, and he struggled. He had a stroke about 18 months later, and then he got the cancer. He had emphysema, so he had fluid on his lungs, he often get chest infections, he had a poorly ear. His health wasn't good, okay? And then eventually he got this heart valve problem, and obviously secondary cancer came back as well. So he had a catalogue of things. And in the first 2 years, I was visiting Dad a lot with Evie, and I got frustrated with him because he wasn't picking up the bare essentials. He moved out to this place. Mum had done everything for him for 42 years. It's a generational thing, I think. It's totally that. And Mum did everything for him. So he struggled. He struggled to clean and tidy and cook and clean and all of that stuff. And we helped him as much as we could in that first year. I was there a lot with Evie, and I always cleaned his place for him. But I ended up getting frustrated because Dad wasn't healthy. He was a heavy smoker. He smoked 40 cigarettes a day his entire adult life. He was overweight for as long as I can remember. He always had a big old belly. And I'd be there cleaning his place on the Saturday when, you know, we'd arrive late on a Friday night. He'd be outside smoking and reading, which is what he always did his entire life, smoke and read. But I'd be like, Dad, come and help, come and learn how to do this stuff, and he wouldn't. And I guess I got frustrated with him. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. And I regret what I'm saying now, that because of that I got frustrated. We started to visit less frequently because these were my weekends with Evie. Evie only comes to stays with me at weekends, and I was spending, you know, 4 hours of that weekend driving, and probably 4 or 5 hours of that cleaning and cooking and going shopping for my dad. And then he got ill, and it sounded like excuses. I'm going to do that when I'm over this, I'm going to do that when I'm over there, and it went on and on and on. And Dad and I clashed a lot. We argued, you know, especially after the cancer of the esophagus. He was meant to only eat half portions after that, and maintain a decent weight and everything, but he piled on the weight again. He was still eating wrong, he wasn't eating the right diet, and this has become, I don't want this to be what it's become now actually, and I might edit this, but it's become a bit of a beat up of my dad, and I don't mean it to be, right? He was the way he was because of the way he was for years and years and years, and he wanted to enjoy his life, and I respect him for that. But I'm just explaining why I kind of wasn't there for him enough at the end, and why I regret that, because we clashed, because he frustrated me, and because I felt he was being lazy, and it turns out he wasn't. I walked into that place and he was a struggling man, he was not well, and I now have a pain in my heart that will always be there, that the last 2 years, at least 18 months maybe, I didn't do enough for my dad. I didn't see him enough, I didn't clean for him enough, and I don't want anyone else to feel that. So if you've got a parent or any relative that you love who comes from that generation, he's a proud man, he was a stubborn man, he was argumentative, and he was grieving at the end of the day. He was still grieving for the loss of my mum, and he never dealt with that. He went into depression as well. I didn't even mention that. He was clearly lonely, and he was taking antidepressants as well. So mental illness comes into that, mental health. If you know anyone that's got any of those things, let alone all of them combined, like my dad did, then help them as much as you can. And I wish I had. Related to running as well, and what is your motivation for running? That's the title of this video, and everything I've just said was my motivation for running. As I said, Dad was not a sporty person at all. I do not remember ever doing anything sporty remotely with Dad ever. Just wasn't that kind of man. He wasn't sporty at all, and therefore I didn't grow up particularly sporty either. As I said, I played cricket and that's it. I got into football in my 20s, just randomly. I can't even remember how. I ended up running a Sunday League football team for 5 years, so I was active then. for a good portion of my 20s, late 20s. And as I got into my 30s and your metabolism slows down, and I'd given up the football after injuries and stuff, I started getting my dad's belly. So that's how I found running. Dad was my motivation. I looked at my dad and my mum and the years of training my mum gave us. My mum gave us a sweet tooth. We were a traditional, I think I said this in another video, we would have our meal and there would always, without a doubt, be a pudding of some kind. It's no one's fault, it's just a generational thing. It's the way my mum was. She was a good cook and she liked to feed people. She liked to feed everybody, visitors, everything, family. And my dad was the same because he lived with her for 42 years. And, you know, we're a food-loving family. My mum died at 69, problems with her heart. A blood clot actually killed her, but she'd had a heart attack before that. She smoked as well, but she'd given up a few years before that happened. My dad smoked his entire life, 40 a day, and was always overweight, and as I say, not sporty at all. And I knew that I was going to go down that same path. So I found running, and I found the Fairlands Valley Spartans running club in Stevenage, and I never looked back. That was 6 years ago, and it's the thing that helps me balance my weight. Now obviously the journey, that if you've been following my videos for this last little series, it's been about me being out of running because of the birth of Sophia and a lot of stuff that went on before that as well. And I've put on weight because the diet stuff I've just said, I've got no willpower and it's really hard to kick bad habits, and I have to work really, really hard not to eat junk. So this is the journey that I've been on. But obviously now we've had 2 weeks where I've not run at all. There's two real messages here, and that is, what's your motivation for running? That's the main thing. And my dad and my mum wouldn't be against me saying what I've just said, by the way. I told them, you know, you are my motivation for running. I don't want to be overweight when I'm older and inactive and not very mobile and stuff. And I try really hard to get them to understand that as well, and do things too. I'm not saying it would have saved them or prolonged their life in particular. A blood clot killed my mum, not related particularly to bad diet or anything. She'd actually been dieting for over a year, and she'd given up cigarettes for almost 2 years, I think. So she was doing the right things when she died. My dad, yeah, potentially he could have done a lot more. If he'd have started years ago, he might still be here today, but you can't, no one can say that. There are people that are perfectly healthy that die from heart attacks. There are people that are perfectly healthy that get cancer and it kills them. So that's a fact, and I know that, but I still think you have more of a chance of leading a longer, happier, healthier life if you're active and if you look after your diet. And that's the whole point of this channel, and that's the whole point of me trying to get back into being more healthy and a better weight. So hopefully there's something in this mad waffle that resonates with you, and you can take away and inspire you and motivate you to follow me and do similar things, hopefully. And I said somewhere in the middle of this, believing in the afterlife. That was another thing I wanted to talk about. Grieving's a funny thing for me. When my mum died, I got over it reasonably, not quickly, it's not right, but I dealt with it, I think, by believing in what I believe, and believing that there isn't an afterlife, that they're not there somewhere watching you, and being part and wondering what you're doing and getting stressed. Because if there's an afterlife and your parents are there and they're always with you, like people say, to make them feel better, if you're leading a crappy life and making mistakes, they're going to be getting stressed in the afterlife. I don't think that's a good thing. They've had all the stress of bringing up children and making sure their children are safe in the world, and then you die and then that stress carries on. No, I prefer to think when you're dead, it's lights out, game over. That person does not feel or think a single thing ever again. They are completely and utterly at peace. And we grieve and we get upset and we think, oh, I really wanted to do this with them and I didn't do that, and I didn't have them come and stay for that weekend, and I really wanted them to see this new thing. Or that's all about you. They don't care. They're not here anymore. They're not up there going, oh, you bugger, I really wanted to come to your house and stay with you that weekend. And that makes me feel better because they're gone. They're in no pain, they've got no stress, they've got no more worries, they are 100% at peace. They're not looking back and living our lives with us still. They're at peace, and that's what I think, and I think that makes it a lot easier. But I also do take some comfort that in some way his soul is back with mums, regardless of whether they think or look back on us or are with us. That makes me happy too. You know, that whole thing I said about it was their anniversary the next day and we said mum came to get dad. Maybe she did, but maybe they've gone to a place together where they don't think about anything else. I'm getting deep now and this video is already going to be super long, but let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what inspires you to run or motivates you to run and look after yourself. And yeah, peace be with you. Peace be with everybody, and peace be with my mum and dad.